External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has met his Palestinian counterpart Riyad al-Maliki, during which they had exchanged views on the current situation in war-torn Gaza. Dr. Jaishankar, of course, is in Germany to attend the Munich Security Conference, the world's leading forum for debate on international security. Now, India has conventionally been pushing for a two-state solution to the Palestine issue for many decades, and during an interactive session at the conclave, Dr. Jaishankar had re-emphasized and reiterated this, as well as underlined that an increasing number of countries are now not only supporting the two-state solution to Palestine, but are also seeing it as a more urgent issue than ever before. Apart from this, he has also called for a permanent fix to the war that is taking place. He's also called for the fact that a humanitarian corridor is imperative as of now. But of course, he's also stated about the hostages and the fact that Hamas should be returning the hostages. Joining us this morning are a host of experts, including Colonel J.S. Sodhi, International Affairs expert, Wing Commander Praful Bakshi, Defence expert, Group Captain V.N. Jha, Defence expert, as well as Group Captain U.K. Devnath, Defence expert. I'd like to wish all the panelists a very good morning. Crucial meeting has taken place in Munich between Dr. Jaishankar and his Palestinian counterpart. My very first question to Colonel Sodhi, sir, what do you make of these developments? Dr. Jaishankar has once again reiterated India's stance, India's support for the two-state solution. The war has been dragging out for months now, and Dr. Jaishankar, incidentally, during his statements, has also stated that terrorism cannot be justified.
Jai Hind, Priya. It's my honor to be on a news channel and a privilege to be with the esteemed co-panelists. The 60th edition of the Munich Security Conference, which is underway for the last 3 days and is to end today, comes at a time when the world is besieged with immense tensions and turbulence. External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar's meeting with his Palestinian counterpart yet again show that India's stand has been consistent since beginning. We've always asked for a two-nation solution. Till a two-nation solution doesn't come, the Middle East can never see peace. And India has always also been consistent in saying that terrorism has to be denounced in whatever form or any form that it comes in, because we as a country have suffered immensely due to terrorism. I think this meeting of Dr. Jaishankar with his Palestinian counterpart has been very useful and productive. And I'm sure that the Palestinian leadership will give due cognizance and enter into a dialogue with Israel, so that this 4-month-long war which is being waged, which has put every common citizen the world over into trouble, comes to an end soon.
Indeed, it is imperative that the war, in fact, there's a peaceful conclusion to this, and I'd like to take this forward to Wing Commander Bakshi. So would you concur with what Colonel Sodhi has said?
Absolutely. Yeah, I fully agree with what Colonel Sodhi says. Pardon me for that. But what I like to also mention that Dr. Jaishankar must have discussed a lot of points on this two-nation theory, etc. But for that, a lot of aspects have to be clarified, which Dr. Jaishankar Prasad brought it out, and Dr. Jaishankar brought out, is the humanitarian requirements. The first thing is the immediate requirement of humanitarian aid, the evacuation, looking after them properly, creating the proper camps, and make sure that all the humanitarian laws and rules are observed. Whatever has been ratified and signed by the countries, they have to be observed. There is a lot of lackadaisical approach towards observing of humanitarian law. Yes, further than that, the two-nation aspect will be discussed. India's stand is absolutely clear. India has stood by the stand. But behind that, we must also look, there are interests of every country into this game. First thing is, how the whole game started. It is just suddenly not a flash took place and fighting started. No, it is first thing, it is a carry forward of an old problem. And then a lot of interests are changing every every time. What the interest of Qatar used to be earlier is not anymore. Saudi Arabia's interest. There are a clash of Sunni, Shia and Sunni, and their stalwart, their headquarters are getting stronger. How the Shia and Sunni are going to face it is from the between. It can be seen through the action of Iran and Saudi Arabia at one place, and all these countries. And what is the interest of America in it? What is the interest of China? So the external affairs minister has all these points in mind, and that is how we are proceeding on this problem in very, very carefully. We are not just making a blank statement yet that it should be two-nation theory. No, it is not only that. They will have to first make sure that what India says is justifiable and why in the interest of India. And that is what is very important. But nothing can work out till the peace is there. The democratic processes is the answer. A lot of countries are taking advantage of creating situations of terrorism where military comes into rule, like Pakistan, and then a lot of countries get advantage of that. That is a personal interest. Even that India has to keep in mind. So these aspects are absolutely clear. It is not as simple as that. It will be done straight away like that. It will not be. There will be a lot of loopholes in it. Saudi Arabia is going to put a lot of pressure on the countries. And Qatar has to will be under great pressure. Qatar's attitude has changed. Why it has changed? Because India's standing is very strong. That is why External Affairs Minister is heard. His words will count, and that is what is going to see. We have to wait and watch for next 3 to 4 days. You'll see how the whole problem comes out. That people are ranting and raving about Brazil may rave. The External Affairs Minister will have to face a lot of other points from various places. Whatever the case may be, let us wait and watch and see what happens.
Indeed, it is in fact imperative to see what takes place next. And you've also spoken in fact about the larger geopolitical implications of this. You've spoken about the role of the United States specifically. And when Dr. Jaishankar had made these statements, incidentally, Antony Blinken was also sharing the dais. And I'd like to take this forward to Group Captain V.N. Jha. Now, the US has made several efforts in order to get different parties on board in order to reach some sort of a compromise, some sort of a solution. There have been meetings that are taking place in Cairo. Egypt, of course, has been roped in. Qatar has also been roped in as a mediator, yet these seem to be falling short. Netanyahu has taken a very strong stance and has absolutely declined to listen to the terms or that the Hamas is putting forth, terming them delusional. So what do you think can be done next?
Very good morning to you and to all your viewers. Look, I have a bit different stand on to this, all this. Why did this war start? I think there is a shifting narrative over a period. People have forgotten that the war started because Hamas, as their basic core principle of being anti-Jewish, had gone to Israel and committed anti-human, inhuman crimes, which cannot be condoned on any platform. And that is what is the larger principle everyone today is overlooking, including UN, UNHRC, and the UNRWA or whatever, the people are there on the international platform. That is where the war started. And war started for two basic reasons: that in future, Hamas should not possess this capability to strike again in any form. That was the first and foremost. And secondly, that all the hostages taken must be returned unharmed, unconditionally. These were the two conditions for which Israel had started the war. Have these been fulfilled? I'm sorry, it has not been fulfilled. In addition, what intricacy we see, what duplicity we see in the approach of UN, UNRWA, which has been funded over the decades with all international community, We are feeding them, but what they are doing in this Hamas anti-human atrocities on the Israeli territories, the employees of UNRWA were involved into that. And once that has come into the light, you have correctly seen that many countries withdrew immediate funding of UNRWA. Now, look, there are three issues into this. Let all other issues be silent right now. The first basic approach towards this war is to meet the obligation what started the war. And that is first return the hostages and Hamas capability of striking must be neutralized. There is no alternative to it. Everyone is suggesting, even the US have prompted that yes, Hamas must not exist. But Hamas will exist because Hamas is not alone. Hamas is within the cadres of Palestinians. Most of the Palestinians are either the Hamas cadre or they are the supporter of Hamas or in the administrative cadre of Hamas. Look, Priya, every second day, the home affairs of the Hamas is absolutely silent, whereas their the humanitarian group, they are putting a lot of information in the public domain that 28,000 people are died, or 29,000 people have died, including women and children. But why is the Home Department absolutely mum in saying that yes, we have got the position of the hostages and we are going to return? No, till now, no one is committing or no one is speaking about the hostages held. That is the basic and the core principle of the entire humanitarian access. But no one is speaking about this. Yes, we know Mr. Guterres had made his comment that this atrocity of Hamas on Israeli territory did not happen in vacuum. Does he mean that there is a justification of the not meeting the two state obligations with this sort of anti-human approach? No, there is no justification to any of the Hamas actions. So today the international community have to approach towards two things. First and foremost is to meet the obligations of the requirements what started the war, and then comes a two-state theory or anything else. Yes, everyone is right in their approach that the innocent civilians should not be harmed. But there are many questions, Pierre. Who are innocent civilians? Can anyone name that there is an innocent civilian who is not the cadre of Hamas, who is not the cadre of the United Jihad Council, or who are not the the stone throwers of their wing? Even the children in those refugee camps, they have been captured, they have been arrested for just that crime because they are acting on the principles of or suggestions of or the incitement of the United Jihad Council or Hamas. So who is innocent in this war? We are not sure, including the UNRWA cadres, their employees. We know that they have participated directly into this, and others are the supporters and the narrative makers. I go back to the 7th day of the war, when that same UNRWA employees were making statement on the camera before the world, saying that all the food and everything is exhausted, fuel is exhausted. Within another 24 hours, everything will go zero. The narrative is being made from that day, and today is the 3rd month of the war. So all these have to be seen. Look, if the war has to be resolved, the world must be fair to both the Palestinians as well as the Israel. Israel has right to exist there, and it is a high time that everything is looked into totality, not purely from the lens of the Palestinians. I stand with Israel in their commitment that if Palestine has to be, given the recognition, they should be given the recognition, but not at the terms that the Palestinians have their first and foremost orientation towards neutralizing Israel. because they have been saying all these days that from the Saudi to the ocean, it is Islamic State. No, it is not. Israel has got the right to exist there. They were earlier there, and they will remain there. So all this must be taken care of. All this must be given a hearing or the consolations in the approach. But UN, after all, is the largest body today. Whatever they are deciding, whether it is in the UN, it is in the UNSC, or it is their UNRWA subsistence of the human right of the UN. So all this must have a just approach to the war. Then only this will be finishing. Otherwise, Israel has got the right to annihilate Hamas, and that is what they are doing. They will not stop until and unless their first and foremost concerns are taken care by the international community. Pia.
Indeed, it is important to be very mindful at this point of time, as Dr. Jaishankar has also stated, and I'd like to take this forward to Group Captain Devnath, who's been waiting rather patiently. One point that EAM Jaishankar highlighted is that there has to be a permanent fix, a long-term fix, otherwise we are going to see a recurrence. This is what he stated, and I am quoting. But in the meantime, the Israeli government has approved a resolution rejecting any international attempts to impose a Palestinian state on Israel, and it mentions that Israel would have to directly negotiate any permanent arrangement with the Palestinians. As of now, Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, has brought the decision to a vote in the cabinet, which has unanimously approved the measure. So in the meantime, there are of course developments taking place on the ground. What do you make of this?
Pia, Netanyahu is a very hardliner. His position, Likud party's position, is extreme right-wing position. In Knesset, Likud party is surviving by taking help from small parties who don't believe in existence of Palestine. Netanyahu cannot go back from his promises made by his previous predecessors. We have to remember that India has been supporting, and world community has been supporting, a two-state theory and pushing for it from Yasser Arafat time, PLO days, 1970s. Now Yitzhak Rabin, he signed what is called Oslo Agreement in 1993 Part 1 and 1995 Part 2, which lays down the foundation that how to start the groundwork for making a two states within Israel. Now Palestine self-rule is being pushed by all the countries in all over the world. USA, France, England, Australia, Italy, and India. We all believe that only possible solution of Palestine problem is people who are Jews, they live separately. People who are Arab, they live separately. There has to be a geographic demarcated boundary between them. Yes, it is understood by everyone that when an independent nation of Palestine comes into existence, they will not have any army, navy, or air force. They will have a very small, docile police force only. India, in fact, India is holding this situation in a very, very mature position. See, 7th October, when the attack took place, Prime Minister Modi gave a statement in favor of Israel, saying that Israel has a right to self-defense. But balancing it out, because we also recognize Palestine, Prime Minister Modi spoke to Prime Minister of Gaza and West Bank on 14th of October, and he assured him that India will give all kind of support to people of Palestine. So Mohammed Abbas remains a player as far as India is concerned on a diplomatic level. We cannot ignore the aspirations of people of Palestine. They have a right to exist there. Their forefathers stayed there. I'll just go through the demographic data of 150 years ago. I'm talking about 1880, 1890, when Jews formed only 7% of population of Israel, and 90% of population of Israel was Arab people. It is only after Ottoman Empire got defeated in First World War that under a British mandate, they encouraged Jews from all over the world to migrate to Israel. If you today ask the Jews, where was his grandfather 100 years ago or 50 years ago, you will be surprised. Pia, 65% of the Jews who stay in Israel today, their grandfather was from maternal side or from their father's side, they were never staying in Israel. They were staying in Europe, they were staying in America, they were staying in India. They migrated. So Jews have a claim to Israel, but Jews must realize that their grandfather was never, grandfathers and their grandfather's grandfather, they were not staying in Israel. So Arab people have a grievance as per International Court of Justice and a rule-based world. Arabs have to stay there. No one can displace them. Arabs have to have a territory of their own. No one is disputing that. Even Joe Biden is pushing for that. All the American administrations, series of them, have supported this two-state theory. So Netanyahu has got absolutely no moral ground to reject two-state nation theory. What he is doing is to survive, because he knows that if he agrees for a two-state nation theory, then he will be deposed within minutes by extreme right-wingers within his government. Yes, Pia?
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.